Last we spoke about the Tower of Babel. Now with so many languages, who could play Scrabble? But that rebellion was led by Nimrod, a mighty hunter who launched a war against God. His great powers weren't fake or just inflated by folks. It wasn't a tale, and it wasn't a hoax.
Idol worship was the trend of the day. People turned to Nimrod and to statues to pray. For Nimrod had declared himself a god, but he had the insecurity of a fraud. So when the stars foretold he'd lose his top billing to one soon to be born, well, he began the killing. But Abraham evaded the massive blood spilling.
And so a great light was born into this world, and because of Abraham, monotheism unfurled. Yes, Abraham, the father of nations, he saw beyond the constellations. He intuited the God of all creations. Beyond the moon, beyond the sun, he knew the Lord was God, the Lord was one. He introduced monotheism to all mankind and tried to get idolatry out of its mind.
But we have idols to this day, perhaps in a very different way. Whether it's love of money or love of sin, whatever comes between you and him. Forbidden passions like anger that you just don't bridle, well, it's as if you're serving an idol.
But Abraham was passionate and firm and took a stand against the evil practices of his land. His own father sold idols to make some cash, but Abraham destroyed them. Just imagine the crash. Catching his father in his own game, he pointed to the one survivor and said he's to blame. How can that be, asked the father, they are just stone and wood. Abraham made his point, his father understood. The years of Abraham were filled with strife, for he spread belief in one God at risk to his life. And then one day, the Lord would appear and said, Abraham, get out of here. Well, he said lech lecha to be exact. Precision's important to keep the Torah intact. He was to leave his birthplace and leave his home, to leave his country to a place unknown. But when we walk with God, we never walk alone.
Lech lecha really means go to you. Now that's so confusing as to what to do. Aren't your home and country and all you know the things that made you and helped you grow? So do I stay or do I go? And that's the point. We need no reminding that when the life we live is so defining, for definitions are confining.
To discover who we really are, we must unpack our bags and travel far, beyond definitions and far from home, beyond that place called our comfort zone. When we walk new paths and rack up miles, we are faced with tests, we are faced with trials. When we see ourselves in a brand new mirror, who we are becomes much clearer. When we go far from self, then we get much nearer to the godly us that is ever dear.
Note, not every person is destined to wander, so here's a thought that you just might ponder.
Walking away may not be a cinch, but the new you can be found by just moving an inch, by reacting differently when you're in a pinch, by being kind instead of being a Grinch, and learning when to fight or flinch. Shifting toward God by 1 degree will change your entire destiny and bring you closer to all you can be.